Which Doctor Who stories scared you as a kid? That is the question we
What
shall
was the
be
behind the
asking
sofa
tonight.
moment?
That's it, isn't it? I mean, did you ever actually have a sofa that you could get behind? Because it's almost a myth, isn't it? So many
Yeah,
people have it up against a wall,
I
so
had a
you can never.
chair, but was sort of you could hide behind.
Yeah. But did you ever watch? Did you ever go behind the chair to hide? Were you too
Mm,
scared that you were frozen in place, like the Fendal
mm.
was petrifying you, or
uh,
or uh, or did you just get a pillow to peek from behind?
it was sort of the TV remote switch off, switch back on, so I didn't miss it.
Oh,
But I missed, it's just as if the spooky bit had gone.
I mean, kids love being scared, don't they? Really,
Mm.
I think those are some of the funnest memories as well of Doctor Who from when I was younger. Is when it
It
did
makes it
scare me.
memorable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It makes it something special, really. So, yeah. What do you think was the first memory you have of being scared of Doctor Who?
Well, I think properly it must be The Unquiet Dead, the Gelf. It was a story I couldn't watch for so many years.
It
Just
is a
because,
very creepy one, isn't it?
just
Like with
because it's sort of the Victoriana setting and then Ghost and yeah, there's just the pre-title sequence alone.
it's a very real way of killing as well. Like when they're
Mm.
choking people. Like it's not a sci-fi laser or something. It is just full on snapping necks and choking people, which just makes it that little bit more scary, I think. But
Mm.
yeah, certainly the image I have is when they're in the cellar
Yes.
and yet they've shut the little door there, but they're reaching through the bars at the Doctor and Rose. And it's wonderful how that's written as well, with Rose saying about how oh, it's impossible for me to die now, isn't it? I've not even been born yet. That wonderful little realization about time travel, and the fact that it's made very clear that these characters do die, and you believe for that moment that maybe they're about to.
Yeah.
Especially as a child, that is wonderful stuff. Also, going back even further than that, the Autons were always very creepy.
It's a concept, isn't it?
It's something that's around you in everyday life. You get dragged shopping with your mum, and there they are all around you, these shop window dummies.
It's weird. I was never scared of like the Rose Autons, but the Spearhead from Space Autons, that scared me.
Yeah, I think there's something very creepy about them. Even though arguably they're more fake, they have more of a man in a costume feel.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain what it is, but there is something quite creepy about them.
I think as well because I live by like a wood, and I always imagine when I went in the woods there'd be an Auton there.
Sort of pushing its way through the bushes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no. And then the thing with that Auton is it can run. The Rose Autons don't run.
Yeah, they sort of hobble around, don't they, a
Yeah.
bit more. Whereas, in Spearhead, they're much more mobile. And I think as well, Terror of the Autons is quite terrifying, fittingly enough, with how it handles the Autons, particularly when they're in the carnival masks.
Yes.
Like, there's something always rather unsettling about that. I suppose it's the uncanny valley nature of them, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think as well with how it implements plastic more with like the daffodils and the phone line.
Yeah, the chair, the ingenious ways of killing.
It makes you more aware of how plastic has sort of taken over the home, and the world.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just the 70s. This is just when plastic was really starting to come into vogue, and yet still it's in so many places. And now here we are. It's expanded even more beyond that. We've even got the danger of microplastics, like in our water and food, just to make it that much more terrifying. Plastic is out there trying to kill us now. And so, it is a very terrifying concept, all drilled down to that Auton, isn't it? That image of the manufacturing line in Spearhead from Space, and then one of them slowly coming to life and advancing on Ransom. I mean, speaking of early Doctor Who, there's something quite creepy about Black and White.
Yeah, especially Tomb of the Cybermen. That was another one that scared me.
Oh, that one was utterly terrifying. I had nightmares about Tomb of the Cybermen. Watched that when I was quite young, and yeah, that was what it was there for. And particularly, the slow build up as well. And there's something weird about, the smoke that comes off the bodies when they're shot. Like, for some reason, I was never spooked out by it in Pyramids of Mars in colour, when you have, the servant of Sutekh choking Ibrahim the Mean and the smoke's all rising from his body. Well, that's quite horrific Hammer horror inspired imagery. But yeah, I watched it around the same time, and it didn't get me the same way that Black and White, Cybermen, guns shooting people, and that smoke coming off them did. Yeah, it's the blank faces and the very concept of the Cybermen. They're not there to kill you per se. They want to convert you, make you like them. And I don't think there's any other story where that's quite as hammered home as Tomb of the Cybermen.
And another Cyberman thing that scared me as a kid was the invasion, when you have them bursting out the manholes, and sort of when you're walking around, you're trying to avoid them in case a Cyberman can burst in out of them.
That was always like the point of that story, wasn't it? The idea that this alien threat is now on your doorstep, really. Yeah, that's wonderful. But I think they're not quite as terrifying design-wise as
I find
the
them
Tomb
more
ones
scary.
for me. Oh, I don't know. I find the Tomb ones more creepy, to be honest, with the letterbox mouth and such. Yeah, that always creeped me out more. But none more than, I think, the 10th Planet Cybermen. The fact that you could see the more human element still remaining there, the surgical mask and everything. Yeah, that all played very nicely. I think even in more modern versions with World Enough and Time, like I was late teens, maybe early 20s even by the time that came on, and yet that still did unnerve me, I would say.
It's the patient bit, isn't it, with the
pain. Yeah, like, that's wonderfully done. I think it shows how strong that concept was back in 66, how that can still send a shiver down your spine today, really. Yeah, and arguably does so more than what's actually done with them in the 10th Planet.
Yeah.
Like, I think because they're all absent from the story. They have their strong moments that definitely creep you out as a child. But beyond that, they're not really in the story much, I'd say.
Yeah.
And certainly not much is there with the bodily horror. Again, it's Tomb from the 60s, or Classic Who as a whole, that really gets to delve into that idea much more. And yeah, certainly, I think it's one of the advantages of the classic series is that with it being split up into parts, you can then take a break from watching it.
And be scared at your own leisure,
and then finally muster up the courage to carry on, because that was always it. It was always exciting as well. As creepy as these things were, as many nightmares as I had, you're drawn back, and that's the magic of Doctor Who and horror in general, I think. There's always something intriguing there. Going back to the new series, what other memories do you have growing up that particularly frightened you from those early RTD series?
I wouldn't say it's amazing. I wouldn't say the new series scared me.
Oh, right.
It was more
Beyond...
the classic stuff that got me. Maybe because I don't want to say because it looked ropey, but I think because of that, it made it have a slight edge. But as a kid, you don't see through like the effects, do you? You believe it, you become immersed in it.
Laughed at by adults as farting monsters, but through the lens of a child, the Slitheen were rather creepy, I think. Just the concept of them, skinning someone and then wearing that skin. The idea that there could be this dangerous monster inside anyone around you is quite horrific, really. And yeah, I think that's played very well in Aliens in London and World War III, but also in the Sarah Jane Adventures. I think the Sarah Jane Adventures, watching that as a child,
having the kid when you got like a baby's Levine.
But it had a fair few scares in it, even with Bradley Walsh as the clown.
Odd Bob.
Yeah, like that is a very terrifying episode. Clearly taking some inspiration from Stephen King's It. Yeah, wonderfully done there. Like horror for children. Like arguably, I think maybe because you don't have the Doctor around, Sarah Jane Adventures can feel that much more scary at times,
there's more
despite it being a children's show. I mean, what about the gas mask zombies then? Did they not creep you out at all when you were younger?
No, not really.
No.
The werewolf kind of got me.
I was never really.
I think
the
transformation got me. Just how you've got the bones crunching and stuff, and I think that led into another one. The one story that I was scared of was Inferno with the Primords.
Oh yes, that's true.
Because you've got the
transformation,
the clanging music, what makes it very eerie and still, and then you've got these, quite grotesque sort of green hairy werewolves, which, they and the sounds as well, the primordial screams of them are horrible.
Yeah, I can see that. I think by the time I got to Inferno, I was too old, I suppose, to really appreciate that horror. But yeah, I can see as a child that was.
It's my second classic story, so it's resonated with me with that sort of fear, and I still get it. Chills watching it now, going, God, that bit got me.
I mean, another one, Web of Fear, episode 1 from Lost in Time, like particularly early on in the museum, so well shot, but also quite nerve-wracking as a child to experience that, I feel.
Yes.
And another one I Lost in Time was the Celestial Toymaker.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there was something, I don't know, there was something quite creepy about Cyril. And then again, it's like the black and white, the electricity depth that he has when he's shocked. Like, something about that really unnerved me. And maybe it's also the more surreal approach that story has. I don't know, can't quite get to you as a child, even though, again, I'm only watching the final part of it. And again, you don't have the Doctor there as much, so you don't have that same safety blanket, similar to that experience with Sarah Jane Adventures. So yeah, those are just some of the moments that particularly creeped us out when we were younger, had us hiding behind the sofa, metaphorically.
Yes.
And yeah, or gave us nightmares even. But we love Doctor Who for that quality as well, I feel. Yeah, there's something very special about horror and Doctor Who that works very well as a child and gives you those formative memories, I suppose.
Yeah, it does.
Cling on to while growing up. Yeah, I mean, let us know if you were younger while you were watching Doctor Who, what moments creeped you out. It would also be interesting for people who are younger than us, not of our generation, to know what ones got you. Like, I wonder if there's any stuff in the Matt Smith years or even Peter Capaldi that particularly creeped you out, that we were maybe a bit too old to experience through those eyes in that way. So yeah, please do sound off below, letting us know what moments got you particularly frightened as a child, or as an adult as well, because certainly there are moments that can still terrify.
Yeah, which is good. Like Ashad, he's scary.
Yeah, I can imagine that getting some children. I mean, didn't even bring up the Weeping Angels, but that was one that certainly creeped me out as a child. Again, it's taking that thing of familiar things that you can see in real life with statues, and suddenly saying, they're out to get you. So, yeah, lots and lots of terrifying stuff out there. Again, Cybermen in the new series, the conversion when that's happening off screen, just the screams and then the sounds of the cutting and the saws.
Or Doomsday, when you've actually got
chill.
them bursting through your door, that you think your house, you will be safe from the Cybermen. No, they're coming in.
You can't even run upstairs.
Yeah,
already
they're there.
Yeah, that's brilliantly done. And then they'll sit you down in front of the TV and make you watch their leader chat to you.
Yeah.
So many wonderful memories of Doctor Who growing up. So, yeah, please leave a like if you've enjoyed our little trip down memory lane. Subscribe as well for more such videos. And as we say, comment below. We want to hear some of your stories.
Were you scared of the Drashigs? Because I was, because that screams terrifying.
Just remember, if you're afraid of Drashigs, they're an anagram of dish rag.
That makes it all
And
the
who
worse.
would be scared of a dish rag?
Have you heard that scream?
But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in another video.
Bye-bye.
Take care.